Who will finish 2020 ranked #1 overall profit across all sports? Gianni the Greek and Rob Vino. They've been battling back and forth all year long for that top spot. Currently, though, Gianni the Greek is at 246% in profit, and Rob Vino is at 210%. That's a total combined bankroll increase of their clients of over 456%. We want to give you a chance to lock in the nation's top 2 handicappers in 2020 for the rest of the calendar year for only $398. That is a $300 discount, and this offer will include all client releases, including 5% best bets from both Gianni the Greek and Rob Vino. Welcome to Bet On It. I am Kelly Stewart, and I just realized my shirt matches the intro colors. It looks really funny to watch yourself be the same color as the WagerTalk logo. All jokes aside, it is Monday. We're doing the Monday football edition, and we have a bonus game, Tuesday night football as well, thanks to the Baltimore Ravens and all of their issues. Let's bring in the guys, Marco D'Angelo, Gianni the Greek. All right, gentlemen, we had a good weekend. I'm happy, keeping it rocking and rolling. Lots of great praise and tweets came my way this weekend, so thank you to both of you. Let's get started right away, just because there is an extra game to talk about. Looks like some sixes starting to pop up. We had a lot of 6.5s here in Vegas in favor of the Seattle Seahawks, total 48.5, but a couple of the square shops are sitting steady at 6. I don't know if I'm going to be brave enough to take the Eagles here. We always know I love the primetime home dogs, which haven't done the hottest as of late. Marco, I'm going to start with you. I asked you before we got here if we thought we'd see a 7. It doesn't look like it now. And then you mentioned if we do see a 7, it'll be very short-lived.
Yeah, of course. Anytime it would touch that key number of 7, and I'm sure Ace can attest to that, you're going to see the groups are going to just grabbing numbers. They'll grab that 7 with the dog. And Kelly, maybe one of the reasons we're seeing this, start to tick back to 6 at some of the shops. For the first time, it was a dog weekend, man. And again, dogs ruled the day. We saw some unders. This week is, we've talked about several times on the show that we would see regression with the totals coming in. And looking at this game, I can understand seeing that. The totals dropped all week. It came out, this game was in the low 50s when it first came out, and it's continually dropped. But as we look at the game, there's reasons to understand that. You've got start off with Seattle. You want to talk about a little bit of a benefit. And I know when we talk about games being moved and this and that, how it affects different teams and some get penalized while others benefit. Seattle played on Thursday last week and didn't have to come back to Monday. That's almost like a mini bye. They get 11 days, which is the max you can get without actually having a bye week. So a big edge to them there. And the Seattle Seahawks, Kelly, this is a team that started the season undefeated. They were 5-0 before they lost that game on Sunday Night Football in Arizona. And we all know how crazy that fourth quarter was in that one, as we ended up cashing the ticket as it went into overtime and thought we lost in overtime. If you remember, the touchdown was called back. I happened to be in a sports book that day. And you want to talk about, not to make fun of the disorder, but bipolar. Half the people were screaming, yeah, and then 10 seconds later, it's like, oh, no, and they take the touchdown off the board and then the interception on the ensuing play. So it's always fun being in a sports book when there's only one game and the crowd's, divided, in some fashion. That night, it was probably about 90-10 in favor of Seattle. I was very lonely in the sports book that night watching the game. But getting to this one, Kelly, I'm looking at it in Philadelphia. They've had their struggles all year. This is a team that's had trouble with offense, and they're going against the Seattle defense that had been gashed early in the season. But if you've looked over the last 4 weeks, this team has suddenly stopping the run. They're making teams one-dimensional. They made a trade at the trade deadline, and it shored up the defensive line. And they are one of the top teams in the league. They're actually fourth at stopping the run, allowing just 3.6 yards per play. What's that going to do? Well, it's going to force Philadelphia to throw the football. That can be good. That could be bad. Carson Wentz has not been good this year. He has had his moments and put some points on the board, or he's had his moments and put points on the board for the other team. So where I'm going to go with tonight's game here for the show is I'm going to go contrary. This looks like a stone cold under. If you look at this game, Kelly, they played twice last year. Both scores were 17-9. But if you remember last year, we had the Seattle Seahawks. They were doing, Pete Carroll never took the reins off of Russell Wilson because they still had a good defense, and they let the teams play those type of games, grind it out, don't turn the football over, win it in the fourth quarter. Then at the beginning of the season, we saw Seattle just let Russell Wilson run wild, and that's because they had to. They couldn't stop anybody. I think here Philadelphia is going to have to throw the football, and that only means one thing. As I said, points will be scored, good or bad. They could turn the ball over, give Seattle short fields. I like this one to go over the total. I think they've bet it too much to the under here. We're getting value with the over. I'm going to go ahead and do it, and I'm walking right into a stat that says the exact opposite. In Philadelphia, for the last 3 seasons when playing at home, 16-5 to the under. Sometimes these Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night games, Kelly, you just got to throw out the stat books, go contrarian, and get the job done. And that's something the NFL more than any other sport. And someday we should just do an entire segment on contrarian betting and why there's value in it in the NFL. But there's no sport more so than the NFL where that works. And tonight, that's where I'm at. I can't give you a lot of logic for it, but I do like the over.
All right, VR, look, I want to back the Eagles here. I know it sounds crazy. Marco mentioned contrarian. I think this line is just a little too high. The look-ahead line was 3. We saw this one open up at 4.5, immediately went to 5.5, 6.5 is still available. Seattle has not prevailed well on the road this year, and I know it's the Eagles, and you just have to cover your eyes and plug your nose when you walk up to the counter. But have you seen anything in your accounts? Do I have any actual real rationale to bet this game?
Yeah, I did see action in the accounts. 2 of the 4 groups that I work with that bet NFL did bet this game. I didn't release a play on this. I have no money behind any opinion. Obviously, I've explained it numerous times. I take a percentage of the accounts. So obviously, I want them to win their bets. I'm not cheering against them. So I would like to see them win. With that said, I don't piggyback it with more money or share it with my subscribers unless I think there's still value there. Because again, when these guys bet, they move nines. And when lines move, the value's extracted. And there's no reason for me to share information when their value's gone. Here's the case. They bet Seattle -5 and -5.5. Here's why I didn't bet it with them. Even though I do support that side. And I think power rating wise, it makes sense. The Eagles are terrible. And this sets up nicely for Seattle. Listen, they've had 11 days to prepare. They're going on the East Coast. We know what they've done there. They've won 10 of the last 11 times. They've crossed the Mississippi, and they're 8-2-1 against the spread. So all that East Coast, West Coast nonsense, it's already baked into the cake when it comes to the Seattle Seahawks. So I agree with the sharp side. Here's the problem. The line's moved since then. It's now up to 6.5. There's some 6s out there, but some of that value's been extracted. Now, if you're watching, you may ask, wait a minute, if there's a 53% chance that they're going to cover the 5 at -110, isn't there a same percentage at -110 that they cover 6 or 6.5? Maybe, but it does change a little bit with each half point. And you have to put that into perspective. Here's the bottom line with this game. Everything points to the Seattle Seahawks, except the fact that this line's driving higher, and you'll see some Eagles money because the contrarians will come in. Home dog, Monday Night Football, the books need the Eagles. Everyone's on Seattle, blah, blah, blah. We hear that each and every week. The books don't need anything. The books simply need you to get to the window. They're getting 11-10. The result and the outcome doesn't matter. Long term to them, they know they're going to make money. Just look back over the last 10 years, how many months Vegas sportsbooks have not turned a profit. Probably in one hand, you could count those months over 10 years. So again, the Vegas needs nonsense. We need to put that aside a little bit because Vegas doesn't need anything. So here's the problem with taking the Eagles. They're just a bad football team. You have a quarterback who's got as many interceptions as he does touchdowns. You have an offense that converts less than 40% of their third downs. You have a team that's down at the bottom in turnovers. Nothing's going their way. So again, the only reason I would look to bet the Eagles is I want to play contrarian. I want to pretend I'm on the side of the sports books. And this is the side Vegas needs. But there's no data to support taking the points with the Eagles. So for me, I like the Seattle side. I didn't bet it because I missed the number. And if I missed the number, I'm not going to lay 11-10 on a coin flip. I'd rather wait for tomorrow's game or look at an NBA college basketball game or something else. Or I may look to tie up a teaser with Seattle because I do already like 2 NFL games for next week. So I'm going to be betting those probably tonight and may leave this game alone. But I do lean the Seattle side. I like them on a teaser even more so. And I like the Seattle team total under 29.5. If you held a gun to my head right now and you said, Ace, you got to make a play on this game and your life depends on the outcome. The bet I would, if I had to make a bet on this game, I would say Seattle team total under 29.5. And here's the reason. It's inflated because Seattle's a high scoring team, but there's always two people in the dance. You ain't dancing by yourself. And when you look at the Eagles, as bad as they've played defensively, only 3 teams have scored more than 29.5 points against them. So they've lost and they haven't done well against the market, but teams aren't blowing them out, meaning they're not putting up 40 on the scoreboard against them. So I like that under 29.5 in Seattle. I haven't bet it, but gun to my head, that's what I bet. I lean under. I wish it was 49 or 50. I probably may pull the trigger, probably not. Again, I don't have any money on these opinions, just telling you what I like. If I fire a bet and you ask me on Twitter, I'll try to share if something late comes in. But as of right now, the sharp side's on Seattle. If you want to play contrarian, take the Eagles. Think you're on the side of the sports books, even though they get 11-10 and you don't. And I like team total Seattle under, lean game under, Seattle teaser. There you go.
VR, there's a lot of really good teaser opportunities for this week. So I'm already looking at the Houston.
A lot of 2.5s, a lot of 7s, a lot of 8s. Yep.
So definitely looking. Maybe I'll do that. That'll give me some action tonight. Maybe I'll put Seattle into a teaser, tie it up with some other games. Let's move along to Tuesday night football. You know, I'm starting to really enjoy Tuesday night football. I don't know about you guys. I know we've only gotten a few of those this year, but I think it's fun. There's nothing else on TV, so I might as well get to watch the NFL. This one's crazy. So they have moved it now from Thanksgiving to Sunday, and subsequently the lines moved as well, up to 10.5. Some places even still have it off the board. It looks like total 41, 40.5 looks to be the consensus. VR, I'm going to stick with you. Your thoughts on Thursday night football?
Listen, you know how high I am on the Steelers. I went and bet a future on them. Yeah, I'm high on the Steelers. I want them to win the Super Bowl. I bet them at 10-1 in week 5. So obviously I love what I see from this team at 10-0. But with that said, I'm a realist as well. I look at the data, and this team should not be 10-0. Here's what I mean. They're 5-0 in one-score games. So the win rate regression's coming. That's a certainty. We know about markets. We know how markets work, and especially the sports betting market. And when you're 5-0 in one-score games in a 16-game season, you're going to have a win rate regression. That's coming. I hope it comes before the playoffs so that my future is live and at least gets to the AFC Championship, and I could earn off that, 50 units of equity that'll be pending. Because the bottom line is the Steelers are a little bit overvalued right now. I mean, if you look at the advanced analytics, success rate, yards per pass attempt, they're behind teams even like Tampa Bay. Ed Feng put this nice piece out about that. their offense is holding this team back. They're 26th in adjusted success rate, according to Ed Fang. Puts out some good proprietary stuff. And I agree with him there that I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, as good as they are at 10-0, are a little bit overvalued. They've won a lot of one-score games. We know the randomness in that. They've done well on turnovers. They haven't been very lucky, but lucky enough. And I think this line's a little bit too high. Again, we know the situation with Baltimore. We all saw what happened on Sunday with Denver. That's in everyone's mind. Recency bias with COVID and how these teams have performed. All that's baked into the cake. And that's why we're looking at 10.5 right now. I haven't bet this game. I'm not sure I have any intentions of betting this game. If I have to bet this game, the 10.5 is I'm on the dog or pass. For me, that's what it looks like because, again, it's not a play on Baltimore. It's actually a play against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I'm very high on, but I think the market's a little bit too high, if that makes sense. So I like Baltimore. I'll use that as a pick for the show.
All right, thanks, VR. I, too, am high on the Steelers, and I'm very glad this game didn't get canceled because I already cashed my over 9.5 wins. I would have been
good for you.
Pretty angry if this game would have got canceled. All right, let's bring in our resident Pittsburgh Steelers expert, Marco D'Angelo. Marco, your thoughts on the Pittsburgh Steelers in arguably their biggest rivalry game of the year, unfortunately, without Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Kelly, in this whole game, and yesterday I sent a tweet out, and it's the NFL I do not understand. They make the Denver Broncos play yesterday with no quarterbacks. I mean, it wasn't a situation of first string to second string to even third string. They went to a guy that wasn't even playing quarterback, okay, off the practice squad to play quarterback yesterday. Made them play, yet they moved this game for the Baltimore Ravens not once, but twice. I just don't get that. And the point I'm going to bring out, this is a rivalry. There's no question about it. The Steelers and Baltimore hate each other. Add to the fact that for the Steelers, and this might end up being a distraction for them, they're pissed. They are really pissed about this situation because they've gotten screwed twice this year. They got screwed whenever their game against Tennessee got postponed, and all of a sudden, oh, by the way, this is your bye week, Pittsburgh. And it was early in the season. And it wasn't a true bye week because they already were prepping for Tennessee. Now this week, Mike Tomlin, because this game was originally planned to be on Thursday, had already told this team they were getting 3 days off after Thanksgiving. Well, they weren't able to do that because their game got canceled on Thanksgiving. He did cancel a couple of days of practice to try to give them a little bit of rest. And for Baltimore, they haven't had a practice. This has been an ongoing problem all week that they weren't able to go to the facilities. And the reason I'm bringing that up is we've seen a couple other games this year that got moved to be a doubleheader on Monday night or a Tuesday game. And if you remember those games, both teams played sloppy, because both teams' schedules were drastically disrupted. And I think you're going to see some of that in this game. They have altered the total. This total is low. It's at 40 and a half, and it's come down, which in 2020 is just unheard of to see totals that low. The difference in this game compared to yesterday with Denver, we talked about no quarterbacks. Yeah, it's been a while since RG3, his quarterback, but he still was a starting quarterback. His skills are not there, but what are they going to have him do? He's going to run the same offense that Lamar Jackson ran because he is a running quarterback too, and try to make a few passes. I just think the line's too high in this game. I like Pittsburgh, but I can't lay double digits in this game where they didn't have a normal week of practice either. So I got to agree with what Ace said, that this is a situation where probably you take the dog or pass, or look at the game and look at the total. Come in here and take the under, or maybe you want to come in if you want to find a more creative way to bet it. Bet the under in the first half, because you always are going to lay more of a number in the first half than the second half. And you're going to get them coming out probably slow with, getting used to RG3, getting acclimated in there. And the fact that it is a war, these teams don't like each other. Maybe look at a first half under before the teams take chances, because Baltimore's going to have a conservative game plan with RG3. They're not going to take chances until they have to. And as long as it's still a close game, they're going to play close to the vest, and that would favor the under in the first half. In the second half, if you get a little bit of separation by the Steelers, then they got to force the issue, and that's where you get turnovers that can result in scores. And when you're talking about a total this low, you don't want to you don't want to be having turnovers that give you a quick score. Might give you some in-game adventures too to get a nice number. If you got an under in the first half and you cash that, and then you see the pace start to pick up, jump in game and take the over at an adjusted number. So those are what I'm going to do. It'll be a game I'll definitely be watching with my terrible towel, but I don't know that I can get to the window officially.
All right, great stuff from both guys. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, VR. Happy betting for this week, and we will see you guys back same time, same place, Wednesday to talk NFL Week 13. Who will finish 2020 ranked #1 overall profit across all sports? Gianni the Greek and Rob Vino. They've been battling back and forth all year long for that top spot. Currently, though, Gianni the Greek is at 246% in profit, and Rob Vino is at 210%. That's a total combined bankroll increase of their clients of over 456%. We want to give you a chance to lock in the nation's top 2 handicappers in 2020 for the rest of the calendar year for only $398. That is a $300 discount, and this offer will include all client releases, including 5% best bets from both Gianni the Greek and Rob Vino.